Okay, so let's learn a little bit about this philosopher named Confucius. Before I tell you anything, I actually would love it if you just took a second really to think about what you associate with that name. If you've heard it before, maybe you've never heard the name Confucius before, but if you do know that name, you could even pause the video and just think for a second. What do you connect with the name Confucius? What does that person's name mean to you? And then you might compare it to what I'm about to tell you. And I'm really just going to give you some of the main points of his life. It's a Chinese philosopher, lived a very long time ago, was born around 550 BCE, so that's over 2,500 years ago. That also means it's very hard to know a lot about his biography. Scholars aren't really totally sure what year he was born, don't know what he looked like. But there's a fair amount that they've been able to figure out. One thing that we do know, philosophically speaking, is that he was on a mission to make his society a better one. And better for him meant morally better. So he's a moral philosopher. He lived during a time that was known as the Warring States period of Chinese history. And it's just like it sounds. It was a time of a lot of war and conflict, power struggles, fighting. So it was a society in disarray throughout China. And so he was somebody who was looking to help that out if he could. Originally by getting into politics, so trying to be close to the people who made important decisions and to have an impact on their moral thinking. He eventually becomes disgusted with leaders of government, though, not impressed with them, found that they weren't really driven to be morally upright. They weren't necessarily interested in the moral questions or being good morally, which is what he thought he could help them with. So he becomes a teacher of moral philosophy, of wanting to find moral wisdom when it comes to the question of how we can all live together, and of helping others find that moral wisdom too. There's a saying about him that he treated students the way doctors should treat patients, meaning that if somebody came to Confucius, looking for help with moral wisdom, he thought it would be wrong to turn them away, just like it would be wrong for a doctor to turn away somebody who's suffering physically and wants help. And he's so good at moral wisdom himself, about thinking morally, about our moral lives, and helping other people develop their moral wisdom, that he becomes very famous. Lots of people come to him to learn. As a result, within 300 years after he was alive, there's a widespread school of his thinking. And we even have a little map here that shows you how widespread Confucianism was, that just 300 years after he was teaching. As I said, Confucius didn't write anything himself. The way his teachings have come down to us is through a work that has collected in short passages, kind of like the sayings of Confucius that were written and organized by his followers. In English, this collection of sayings is called the Analects. And so the passage we're going to look at comes from a book called the Analects. And even though Analects may be an English word, it's a weird one. It's not a word I use in any other context. But it just means the kind of thing that I just described. An analect is a collection of short literary or philosophical passages. I'm told that the Chinese word, I don't know Chinese, means something like ethical dialogues. So this collection of writings has a focus on questions of moral wisdom in particular. It's organized into 20 chapters and includes hundreds of entries. We'll be looking at just one. You should also know, and I find this fact kind of amazing, that the Analects, the collection of Confucian passages, is very likely the most read book in all of history. more than the Bible, which I would have to guess is also up there in the top 5 or so, maybe even number 2. Hard to really know these things in the end, but even the fact that it's possible that it's the most read book ever tells you something about its importance in world history and its importance for Chinese culture then and now. So I hope this makes you excited to get a taste of what's in the Analects. And when we move on, we'll take a look at one of the passages.